Hello and welcome to another episode of DeDubs Plays. I've been doing a little bit of work off camera this week and just finishing off this area over here a little bit. Still not completely done, but I took some time to get some parking in. It did take an awful lot of time to get all of these Edison hyperchargers in, but I think it was worth the effort. It looks a lot better now that it's got some good parking there. Up on the hill I put in the prison that I was talking about last week. Did a little toll road at the entrance there to make it look like a gatehouse. Put some of the fire towers and a little fence around it. And then this entire hillside has been decorated. Lots and lots of trees, lots of rocks, and then if we come around to this side you can see lots of nice rock detailing work all the way along. I think it looks much more complete now, much more finished, and it felt needed. It felt like it just felt like it was incomplete over at this side. Now I still want to do a little bit more detailing around the edges of the industrial park here, and probably over here as well. But I think the hillside now is looking much more complete and finished. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way that it turned out. So the plan for today's episode, first off we're going to be working on the theme park over here. As I mentioned in previous episodes, I've just dumped everything in here to get everything unlocked so that we could work on the beachfront build, and now it's time to actually turn it into a nice park, somewhere that people would like to visit, rather than the sprawling mess that it is at the moment. We're also going to be working on filling out this district a bit. As you can see, I've put in a couple of rows of houses just to see what they look like. But yeah, we'll continue this on and make this area feel nice and full. And we'll probably do a decorating pass across both of these districts for today's time lapse. And if we get time, I may start putting the rail in as well. We've marked out the positions we want the rail to go, and now that we've got it unlocked, we could start actually putting it in and get some cargo stations and some public transport in place. And if we're really lucky, we'll get the final unlock for this area, and I can finally make this a nice area as well, rather than another sprawling mess. And if we can get that done, then we can actually make this part of the city feel like it's finished. We can have the train stations in, the rail running through, the hillside now is decorated. We can finally get the ore area looking the way that I want it to look, and do a bit of decorating around there as well. And yeah, if we can get all of that done, then this section of the city will feel like it is complete. Now I really want the population to get up so we can unlock those crematoriums, so I'm going to start off by popping in some more residential over here and seeing if we can get this area feeling a bit more filled out. I said that as we move into the old town I want to use some of the landmarks that have got a more classical architectural style, and I think a cathedral would sit quite nicely in this space here. I'll throw some more high density zoning in across here. And again on the other side here. Can pop a few of them just in these spaces here as well. Maybe a couple on the ends here too. Let's do 3x3 there. Is there a 2x3? I can't remember. We'll try 2x3. I think there is. That's a 2x3 there. Okay, so I've got some more high density residential in there, and hopefully that will give our population a nice big kick. And for the time being I'm just going to leave that to grow and see how it goes. So let's start thinking about our amusement park. First thing I think I'm going to do is use a touch of that editing magic to prepare the area. Ta-da! So we've just made sure everything's flat, removed all of the trees, and I've moved all of the rides over to the back there, and these items here are going to be quite close to the entrance, so I've left them quite close by. So let's start by drawing out a little bit of path there. Let's see how close I can... Okay, that's about the closest I can get to the entrance, so we're going to go off from there. And we'll get rid of that little piece. And then the plaza can go right there. I feel like a nice big plaza as you enter the park makes sense. And then we'll just surround that with some paths. I feel like this would be a good spot to have the souvenir shop and the cafe, that sort of thing. So I think I'll bring a path across at a bit of an angle. I think about that looks good. And then we'll bring some of these over to here. I think a path just along the side here, if it will let me. It's not going to let me. Okay, a little bit trickier than I expected to get the little bit on the end there, but did it in the end. And the reason I thought that was a good idea was I thought I could put a nice little plaza type place here, stick some seating there. There we go, that's just about perfect. So we can put a cotton candy cart there, maybe a little balloon cart about there, a couple of little rides for the kiddies. My little boy loves to go on these things. They've got 3 of them in our local shopping centre right next to each other, and he can't just go on one of them, he has to have a go on all 3. The joys of parenthood. So we'll put some benches in there as well for people to sit and have something to eat. Some table benches. Yeah, we'll put some of these in, you know. An info sign there. Probably would have a map with "you are here" on it, that sort of thing. And then I think we'll put a little path in here to connect them up. That's not really the curve I was looking for. Do you know what, that will work. I'll do that. So I think we'd have a straight path coming off here, and do you know what, that's probably a good length for it. And I think these game booths would make sense to be over here. Maybe we'll give it a little bit of space. We'll put some decoration in there. We'll leave about that much space. I think that looks good. And we'll put that one in there. And do you know what? I think I'm going to get them as close as they will go. And I think I will put 2 more in on the other side. Yeah, I think that looks nice. I'm going to adjust the length of this path here. So I'll just put that little bit in to mark where I want to bring it to. Now I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to do a straight path up in this direction. And we'll bring another path off in this direction. I think we'll go to about there, and then we'll switch it to curved. And we'll try and get fairly similar to the curve of the road up there, which I think is probably about that. Yeah, I think that looks quite good. Gonna remove these power lines temporarily. I may need to put power back in. I probably will need to put power back in at some point, but they can go for now until we know where everything's going. I'm going to pop a curved path in. I think maybe that, yes. Okay, so we'll go with that, and then I want to come off about there, I think, and hook into that. Yeah, I think that'll do. So what I'm thinking is the haunted house over here on its own. We'll just push up the terraforming a little bit over here, and I think I will move it ever so slightly this way, say to about there. And then we're going to use those same trees and just surround the haunted house, because I feel like the haunted house would be quite secluded. So yeah, it's all kind of hidden away amongst the trees there. I think that suits the theme. I think I'm going to bring a curved path off of here. We'll go about halfway across, curve it back to about there. I think that looks nice. Put some nice gardens in along here, and then I think some of the more slow-paced rides along this path here. We'll get that piggy train in, the merry-go-round, maybe about there, and the teacups over here. And I think we'll pop another path in, so about there, and we'll pop the Ferris wheel on that one. I think perhaps a connecting path in between this side and the Ferris wheel there, and I think this actually would probably be on that side there, so we'll just move that over, and we'll nudge this one across a little bit as well. Yeah, I think that looks good. I'm going to get rid of these paths now, so that we've got a bit of room to expand into. And I'll just move the remaining rides over here for a moment. And yeah, I think that looks okay for a nice path layout. So I feel like the roller coaster would go here quite close to the highway so that it was visible to passers-by. I think the theme park managers would think it was a great idea to put one of their more prominent rides in a position that was easily visible from the highway, kind of as kind of free advertising. And by the same token, it probably makes sense to have the drop tower ride over here as well. I'll pop the pendulum ride in. I'll not pop the pendulum ride in just there. Okay, so we need to do some path adjustment. We can work with that. Okay, a couple of little tweaks, and we've got a nice little space for that one to go in as well. Just pop another path in just there, and I think this one can sit about there. Okay, so I've just finished drawing some fence around the outside of the park area, and now all we need to do is decorate. Now before we start putting in trees and props, there's definitely some more merchandising opportunities in here. I don't think any amusement park worth its salt would be happy with just one souvenir shop. Okay, so we've put another souvenir shop just there, a couple more game booths over here, and a cafe and restrooms just over here. And now it's time to add some of that trademark awesome sauce. Okay, so I've done some decorating over here, but I'm now going to rip most of it out. I don't like the way that it's come out, and I know exactly what I've done wrong. The problem that I've got is that I have lots of very small assets that are not very tall, and I've surrounded them by lots and lots of tall trees. And yeah, it's made the balance all wrong. You can't see a lot of the assets for the trees, so I need to change it. Now there are places where I've done much smaller detailing, like this area here, some rock detailing here, this spot over here looks good, and I've done some of these custom plazas as well, and they're all good. They're all quite low, and I need to carry that kind of theme throughout the rest of the decorating. So I'm going to rip out a lot of these trees and put in some smaller scale decorations, and I will be back with you in a moment. Okay, now that's looking much nicer than it was. You can actually see a lot of the rides now. There are still some trees in there, but they're much smaller tree assets than I was using before, and they're much less densely packed in there. Used a lot more bushes and shrubs and some of the rock detailing around the plaza here. And I've lined most of the paths with these small bushes or the pink flowers. I kept a handful of the palms near the ship ride because they felt like they fitted, but yeah, I did remove quite a few, and I've put cannons either side of it as well. And then just along the edge of the park I've got a few of the larger trees in where they're not really obscuring the view of the park so much. And I kept some of the large trees around the haunted house because I was looking for a more secluded, hidden away vibe for that, you know, kind of add to the spooky feel. All in all though, much happier with the way it's looking now, so yeah, I think I can call that good. Now, our population hasn't gone up as much as I'd hoped, but a lot of these houses are still level 1, and they're saying that I need to educate more citizens to level them up. Now, I do have the education capacity at the moment. High schools, we've got tons of space, and we've got a little bit of space in the elementary schools. Could be better, but it's sufficient. But I think the problem is distance to the schools rather than availability of the schools. I didn't put any schools in this area, so I think we need to rectify that now. So I'll pop an elementary school in just about. We'll go over this side, and then we'll put a secondary school in here as well. Now, I don't really feel like this high school fits the European theme very well, but I don't feel like either of the other two options fit it either. So I think this is probably the best option we've got, and that's what we're going to go with. Okay, so moving on, I definitely want to get some rail in, and my plan is to keep my external and internal lines separate, and to keep my cargo and passenger lines separate. So this external rail connection here is going to be my external cargo rail connection. If we head over to the other side of the map over here, we're going to connect this one here to our external passenger rail connection, and then we're going to have two parallel internal loops, one for cargo and one for passengers. But it turns out there are some issues with those outside connections. The issue with the passenger outside connection is that I want to connect using that station there, which doesn't unlock until we hit the next milestone. And the issue with the outside connection for the cargo rail is that I want to connect using that station there. And that one requires me to have an airport reach level 3. Now, I do know that I want to build my airport in this area here, and that's probably not going to be too far down the road before I start working on that, but not quite ready to do it yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the internal rail connections for the time being, and I'm just going to ignore the external rail connections until we're in a position to put those in. But I am going to bring the rail over into the right position so that when we're able to make those external connections, it's a nice easy job to do so. I'm also going to need to try to figure out what I'm going to do with the rail over here. I know that I want it to come over here somewhere and connect up with the airport. I know that it needs to swing out to this side so that it can hook up to the external connection, and then it's going to want to go back across in this direction so that it can service the downtown area, and it will come back over on this side of the island to hook back up to the cargo external connections here. Okay, so before we can place rail, we need to place a station, and I'm going to put the elevated island platform station in just here. This is where I talked about putting a train station in a few episodes ago, and this is one of the stations from the train stations content creator pack. There's some really nice stations in there.
Many days later.
I've been struggling a bit with my lack of planning in this area, and I've tried to cobble something together, and I've got to say It's mediocre sauce at best. It's definitely not awesome sauce. But I've been giving it a noodle, I've been giving it some thought, and I think I've come up with a idea about how I'm going to run the rail through this area now. So for the second time in one episode, I'm going to rip out everything that I just put in. So here's what I'm thinking. We'll keep it as we had it over the road here. We'll come just over the top of that. Okay, so this will be where we'll start from, and this time we're going to come up in a curve over to this direction. We're going to put a tunnel through this mountain. We're going to come out here and loop back around underneath the bridge, and then back out again and along the side of the amusement park. Okay, so I want to figure out where the tunnel entrance on this side is going to be first, so I'm just going to use some quick editing magic to clear the trees over here, and then we'll figure out where our rail line is going. Okay, so I've run a curve under the bridge here. I needed to make sure that the rail would get between the pillars of the bridge, so I started with that. Okay, so I'm going to come out by about 20 units, I think, and then we'll go up to just the edge there. I've made sure that this is leveled terrain so the rail stays perfectly flat. Okay, and then this one will come out by 18, so we subtract 2 from our measurement, and then we pop that one up right there. Now I want to come out onto the water at a perfectly level height. And I think that is as close as it's going to get, so we'll do that on the other side as well. Then we're going to take a level terrain mark from this side. We'll make sure it matches that, and we are going to level the terrain just here to that height and bring our bridges across. So that should be pretty close to level. Okay, so I'm not entirely happy with the shape of that curve, so what I've done is I've just popped a little piece of tarmac in there, so I've created a couple of nodes on the rail there. I'm just going to delete everything on this side up to that point. Okay, so I'm going to bring a curve out, I'm going to angle it towards the highway, and I'm going to go to just there on the opposite carriageway, because that'll make it easy for me to get the correct measurement on the inside line. And then we'll hook it in there. And I think that's a much nicer curve. Okay, so it's got a bit of a steep curve before it goes over the river, but the rest of the curve's quite nice, I think, and I should be able to squeeze a train station in just here. Okay, I had to play about a little bit to get the road in the right place, but we're there now, so if I just pop those out, I should be able to pop in this station here, which I think is really quite a pretty station. I do like the look of that station. So yeah, that's the one I'm going to pop in there, and then we will hook up the rail. I don't know why that's dipped down like that. That's odd. There, that looks better. Yeah, I am a fan of this station. It looks very pretty. Now I will need to figure out where to put a road connection so citizens from this area can get to the train station, and I think the road will probably follow round this side as well. Might even put another train station in near the park entrance, maybe down here somewhere. That'll also be good for getting workers to the forestry area that's going to be here. But let's get over to this tunnel area. So again, we're going to look at this from the side and try and get it as straight as we possibly can, and I think that looks like the rail remains level. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, took a couple of minutes to get that right, but we've now got 2 rails that go into the hillside at a nice level incline. Okay, so now we're going to come over to this side and we are going to bring off a curved rail. Let's say we go to that node there, and then we will turn it in towards the rail that we've got over there, and just check that we've got a nice steady incline there. Yep. So I'll switch to straight here, and then we will go up to, I think that hits the hill at level. Then we'll come in with the parallel track. So I'll just do a little extra bit up there so that I can use this node. Bring that up. Come to level just there. Now it needs to go slightly further out. I think that looks good. And then we'll delete this excess piece, and then I'm going to bring the landscaping up a little bit here. Go a little bit higher, I think. So we need to bring some straight tunnel in here, and it's a very slight incline, but I think that will work. We'll do the same here. That looks pretty good. Okay, and then we just connect up the tunnels, and then we can connect this piece up to about there, I think. Yep, that looks close enough. Yeah, so I started off with a spaghetti mess that I tried to squeeze into that space, and I think this looks much better, much cleaner. The curve of the rail is much smoother. I kind of forced myself to cross the lines with the setup that I had, and I didn't really want to cross the lines, so this allows the lines to stay parallel all the way along. Yeah, much better, I think. Much better. We've turned mediocre sauce into awesome sauce. So I will have to repair some of the damage that I did to the decor around the trumpet interchange, and replace some of the rocks that I had to destroy from the bank over here. And I'll need to push that riverbank back in, maybe turn it into a quay wall, but I'll tidy that up off camera, I think. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about the cargo station here at the moment, because obviously the ore area hasn't leveled up yet, and we've got these buildings here just temporarily to provide the jobs that we need to get to the next level up. As soon as we've got that level up, we can get rid of a lot of these buildings and I can put the station in properly. But for the time being, we're just going to worry about the passenger line, so we're just going to connect that up to the station that we had here, and we will be shipping passengers back and forth by train. So let's just delete this part here and this part here, and we'll run a nice long straight piece up here. Up to there. Okay, so we've got our first rail connection in. Haven't hooked up the roads on this side yet, so we won't be seeing any trains just yet. But I think we're probably at the point where I'm going to call it an episode now. So we'll work on this next week. I think our amusement park is looking lovely now. Quite happy with the work that we did on this. Again, I made my life difficult by starting out with mediocre sauce when I should have gone straight for the awesome sauce, but we got there in the end, and I think it's looking pretty good. Got a little bit of repair work and finishing off to do, but I'll do most of that off camera, I think, and just give you an update in next week's episode. I think also next week we'll do a decorating pass in this area here. I was hoping that I might get that done today, but I think I'm going to do a time lapse of the theme park decoration pass instead, seeing as I kind of had to do that twice. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed the episode. Oh, I haven't mentioned another creator yet. As you know, I like to recommend another creator that I've been watching and I've got some inspiration from, and I think this week I am going to give a shout out to Snapdragon Cities. He's a fellow Brit, really really great sense of humour, makes me laugh every episode. He's playing modded, using a British themed pack, and he's got a really nice looking city, so definitely give him a look, and as usual I will put the link in the description. As usual, I hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you've got any feedback or suggestions, please do leave them in the comments, and if you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button, and I will catch you in the next one.